He has an ability to forgive. He has an ability to love absolutely unconditionally. And his smile lights up a room. And his hugs, you can't ever get enough of his hugs. He doesn't understand hate. He doesn't understand intolerance. He doesn't understand doing others wrong. And I wish that everybody in the world could live like that.
Andrea Roberts is the proud mother of 2 sons. Her eldest, Reece, was diagnosed with Down syndrome at birth.
When he was about 3.5 or so, I started thinking about, why would I not want more of the sunshine that he is? Why would we not want more? And then the thought occurred to me, well, gosh, I wonder if there's any kids with Down syndrome available for adoption.
Well, Andrea did some digging. She quickly learned that there were thousands, potentially millions, of unwanted and unloved orphans all around the world.
There is so much stigma, negative stigma still, that these kids are damaged. They can't do anything. They're a burden to society. They should just be killed. And it's a surprise, really, that they have orphanages at all. So what Reese's Rainbow does is try to raise money for each of these kids as a waiting child, and then help the families raise further money after they've committed to help them with later adoption fees, agency fees, airfare, in-country costs, that kind of thing.
Reese's Rainbow began as a social outreach program, but it quickly evolved into an advocacy and grant-giving foundation for families, adopted children with Down syndrome, and other special needs internationally.
I would say that the majority of our families who adopt probably never had considered adopting before. A lot of them have a biological child with Down syndrome or other special needs, and they come to the same realization that I did, that, you know, well, gosh, I wonder if there's other kids out there who need a family.
My biological daughter, Steffi, has Down syndrome. I found out when I was pregnant with her. I had this little baby and I'm looking at her and I'm like, she's just so precious. And I found out what happens to children in Eastern Europe and other countries when they have the same thing that my daughter had. And it just tore me apart. Why don't you sing me a song? Yeah, Mama. My daughters would have ended up certainly in a mental institution with people that are a lot older than them. And that could have very well happened, and it does.
Chances are, because she functions very, very well in life, and because of that, my guess is she probably would have ended up being picked up for sex trafficking. That, she's beautiful, so.
When a child like Anthony, for instance, has a defect that's visibly seen, he's abandoned immediately. They're considered bad luck, and they're not considered strong enough to be able to care for the parents and the grandparents as well, which is the role of the child. His birth mother had him for a month, you know, and then decided to give him up. And it makes you really wonder about what, you know, goes through their hearts and minds to, you know, allow them to do that. You know, God calls us to help orphans and widows. 4 versus the millions that are there, you know, you make the difference in these 4 lives. You know, the 2 that we have now and the 2 that are coming home.
With the help of this foundation, 1,300 children have found their way home.
I have always viewed Reese's Rainbow as a ministry. This is my personal ministry. I grew up Christian, and I was not attending church at the time when Reece was born, but it's only, you know, through God, with God, that I've even survived. I believe firmly that the way that you show the love of Christ is by serving everyone. You know, there are lots of kids in this country who need families, but political and geographic borders just shouldn't matter. Every child needs a family.
Thank you doesn't begin to cover it. The I love yous don't touch what she's done in our family and what she continues to do in our family. She is Auntie Andrea, and she's Auntie Andrea not just to my kids, but she's Auntie Andrea to every child that she comes in contact with, that every child she finds out about, and every child that she posts and is looking for a family. She's absolutely anti-Andrea.
What she's done with this ministry, it's extraordinary. There's children that need families, and there's families out there and they just don't have the means, and what she does brings it all together and it makes it happen. Without her, none of this would have been possible, and I can't thank her enough. Dasha's middle name is Andrea because of that.
I know that God has a plan for everything, and I know that God has a purpose for Reece's life, and I know that this is part of it. And so for that, I feel honored that God would choose me and let me use the talents that He'd already given me to facilitate this in some way.